What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Sarah McLachlan, and we're returning for a very awkward Luca. What are you doing? And we're returning to Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, 1993-1994, and the next track in the playlist is Elsewhere, which suggests not here. Wherever the location is, whether that's more literal and geographical or more conceptual, maybe even psycho-emotional, the current position is not it. It is elsewhere. And it's interesting because it's not only descriptive in terms of saying where the place is not, but it's also general. It's not specifying where it is. So it's not here, but it's not necessarily there or there or there. It's elsewhere. It's a sort of black and white characterization and in the negative. So yeah, I do wonder whether we're talking more literally or figuratively. Maybe it'll play out on multiple levels, like a place can represent a time or a part of someone's life, and then they are no longer in that place, so it's elsewhere. It's, beyond the current realm of both geography and experience. So I'll see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Sarah McLachlan. The album is Fumbling Towards Ecstasy from 93-94, and the track is Elsewhere.
Inside me, in the space where I can breathe, I believe there is a distance I have wandered to touch upon the years of reaching out and reaching and holding out, holding in. If I choose to, would you try to understand? I know this love is passing time, passing through like liquid. I'm drunk in my desire, but I love the way you smile at me. I love this is here.
is that it faded that. I like the almost piano sonata finish and flourish at the end of the track as the rest of the tune receded, drums and guitar and so on, but it did seem to fade even the piano at the end. I wish it would have let it play to a final note. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, my understanding of what was happening lyrically or thematically evolved. At first, it sounds like she is talking about the place she's in being heaven, and maybe it's only heaven to her, to nobody else, but she'll defend it. So it sounds like she's where she wants to be, and maybe that still is true. But then we get the part where she's talking to her mother and saying that I have to cast off this mold, and I have to live my life as I see fit, as I see right. And maybe it's not right to you, but it's right to me, and I need to be my own person. I need to leave the nest, so to speak. So then I'm thinking that elsewhere is where she wants to be. Like, here is, it was all well and good, and it's, where her mother is or where she was raised, and it's her original place, but she knows her destiny now. She knows what she wants to seek out, and that involves going to another place. And that might be, again, geographical, but also behavioral. The idea of, I'm not going to live my life exactly like you. I'm going to live it elsewhere, in this cultural domain or in this societal circle, and that might be distinct from what you've understood, what you've known, maybe even what you envision for me, but you have to let me do that, because that's what becoming an adult is all about. So at first I thought elsewhere was, what other people are in, and she has her own place, but then I was thinking that she wants to go to some other place, to go to an elsewhere from relative to where she is now. And again, maybe it's both at the same time. Maybe she's talking about defending that place that she wants to inhabit and already is inhabiting, but she's still justifying why she had to leave to get to that place, again, conceptually or more literally. But yeah, it sounds like coming of age a little bit. It sounds like finding your niche in the world. It sounds like finding your niche emotionally, even if that means doing things differently from what other people expected, even your parents who, provide you not only with life, but in many cases with a template or what they think your life should unfold as. And there may be a moment of conflict or at least disagreement when you begin to diverge from what they may have predicted or hoped for. So it does feel like even if there is a bit of that conflict, she's addressing the situation and her mother, and perhaps by extension, anyone in the early part of her life, in a very humane and understanding way, and merely asking for that understanding in return. So I feel like there's a sympathy even as she strikes out her own pathway and tries to chart her own life. I enjoy, again, this down-tempo ambience, which feels like there's been multiple tracks on the album that have this mellow environment, but also very considerate, very like mentally pensive. Although I suppose pensive often means, there's some trouble to your thinking, but it's like she's very reflective and very considering in terms of her emotions and people around her and what connections or associations can or do mean. I enjoyed that little bit of organ that we heard. That really stood out to me. I enjoy also the acoustic guitar, just giving the track a nice flow, that like strumming flow. And she's another one, I've talked about Joni Mitchell, I've talked about Suzanne Vega, and I think Sarah is another one who's just one of these like musical poets. She's giving you these well-crafted lines that have, again, a lot of meaning, a lot of emotion, but they're written in ways that have a degree of, maybe not opacity, but a degree of interpretive, you can take them some different ways. It has this quality of poetry, even as she, plays an instrument and expresses in a musical context. I do also like the piano, as I said, especially at the end. It really came to the fore and took over the track, even if it did sort of drop off a cliff a little bit. But yeah, well composed, well written, even if I'm not quite sure if there's some nuances of the lyrics that I'm missing out on. But I'm really enjoying the album, and it's nice to get a fuller sense of who an artist has been when you've known who they are just from, pop culture references or seeing their name, or in my case, hearing a remix of one of her tunes many, many years ago. it's nice to get a fuller sense of the artist. So once again, shout out to Michaela for sending this and much, much else, which we will continue to go through and more to come. So let me know what you think. And from Luca, the grooming and momentarily disturbed cat, and I will see you next time. Peace.